Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Jennifer Meckles. The world was watching this week as a meeting in the Oval Office turned into an explosive confrontation between President Donald Trump and Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky. Zelensky was in Washington to discuss a deal about U.S. access to Ukraine's minerals, a deal that Trump intended to be a sort of repayment for U.S. assistance to Ukraine the past few years. Ukraine was hoping for future security guarantees. Instead, this turned into a shouting match. President Trump, Vice President J.D. Vance berating Zelensky, telling him he wasn't grateful enough to the U.S.
Have you said thank you once?
This entire meeting? Times.
No, in this entire meeting, have you said thank you?
Today.
You went to Pennsylvania and campaigned for the opposition in October. Offer some words of appreciation for the United States of America and the president who's trying to save your country.
NBC News reports that minutes after that press conference, Zelensky was asked to leave the White House. A private lunch and a joint press conference also canceled. After leaving, the Ukrainian president posted to social media thanking America for its support. For Coloradans with loved ones in Ukraine, it's been difficult to watch the shifting political tides. Today, we caught up with one group that we've spoken to a few times since the war started, and they told our Colton Chavez this whole Oval Office story is really frustrating and distracting from the important work they're trying to do.
Yeah, Jenny, Ukraine Orphan Outreach, they've been working with Ukraine children and adoption resources for nearly 2 decades. They say this kind of work has never been political, and even through war, it shouldn't be now.
This is actually Igor. He's one of our staff.
The nonprofit Ukraine Orphan Outreach says their big picture has always been to help children in Ukraine.
He drives a lot of the kids to to go swimming or go to the movies, and then he goes and visits the orphanage.
In the 3 years since Russia invaded Ukraine, war has changed a lot of these pictures.
Pictures of some of the kids that were in the Kramatorsk orphanage, which now, of course, they've been evacuated out of Kramatorsk because it's in the east. And this is a farm that we helped finance in the West.
Chris Stace started the nonprofit back in 2007. She fears things will only get worse after a meeting between President Trump and Ukrainian President Zelensky went south.
Your country is in big trouble.
I know.
You're not winning. You're not winning this.
It was really sad. Sad in that, you know, they're adult men and the way they were treating one another. We all know it was Russia that invaded Ukraine, and Ukraine, all they want is for Russia to leave. That would be our ceasefire.
She says it would be the end of a war.
But that's what makes it hard, is we know these people personally. You know, we've seen their loss.
And the start of a new photo album, this time filled with pictures of hope.
Whether that's, the war is indeed over and Russia's not going to be returning, or, just that these kids and all the adults feel the support of America, that we're going to get through this together.
The nonprofit says they are planning a trip over to Ukraine in the spring. They say the goal is to remind everyone that the people in Ukraine are not forgotten. Colton Chavez, 9 News.
And as the Trump administration continues to slash the size of the federal government, we're seeing protests now around the country, like at the Washington Monument today, where people were protesting national parks layoffs.
We hire rangers!
We hire rangers!
We hire rangers! Protect our parks!
They held signs demanding Congress protect the parks and keep public lands, quote, out of greedy hands. A lot of folks out there opposing the layoffs fear they could lead to the privatizing of millions of acres of public lands. Protesters were also out today at Rocky Mountain National Park here in Colorado, again, protesting NPS layoffs. They gathered outside near the park entrance for hours today. Some even hung American flags upside down on Eagle Cliff. Among the protesters today at Rocky, a 97-year-old woman who said she'd volunteered for the Park Service for more than 2 decades. Tonight, she says she's worried about the future of the national parks.
Many of us have experienced waiting in line to get in or to get up to Bear Lake, and now to have it get worse, we can't bear it.
That was the second protest at Rocky in recent weeks. A large group also gathered in Superior today, protesting Elon Musk and his Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, and their cuts to the federal workforce. This was a Tesla dealership in Superior where this happened today. A number of protesters around the country did the same thing, gathering at their local Tesla dealerships, calling for boycotts of that company. More soldiers from Fort Carson are now headed to the U.S. southern border. Fort Carson officials made that announcement this afternoon. Around 2,400 soldiers from the 2nd Stryker Brigade Combat 4th Infantry Division will be carrying out missions issued by President Trump. This is part of the administration's immigration crackdown. Fort Carson soldiers join other U.S. Army teams deployed earlier this month. Let's turn our attention now to the forecast. Another gorgeous day to kick off the month of March. Plenty of sunshine all across the metro, and we warmed into the 60s again today. Hope you enjoyed it. Big changes are on the way. Isn't that such a Colorado statement, Corey Reppenhagen? Because here we do, once again, have another storm coming our way.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, spring has sprung harder than it ever has, I think. We jumped right into the 60-degree weather. And another thing that you think of when you think of spring weather around here is heavy, wet snow. And so we do have that in the forecast as well. Here we have the city of Denver here. Pretty mild night here across the city, except for out at the airport where it's always an icebox, 33 degrees right now. Here's your forecast for tomorrow. We're going to have more sunshine, but you're going to see more clouds as well, especially in the morning hours, maybe clearing up a little bit better in the afternoon. Still getting those temperatures up into the 60s once again, and that is the case for all of the eastern half of the state and the western slope as well. Some 40s and 50s in the mountains, despite some more cloud cover for tomorrow. So we're tracking that warm weather really all the way into Monday. Monday's not going to be too bad until that storm rolls on into the evening. We have a weather impact day for Tuesday because of the potential for some big, heavy, wet snow that could end up very close to the Denver metro area. So we'll be talking about that coming up in just a few minutes.
Corey, thank you. We are learning more tonight about a shooting that happened in a King Soopers parking lot in Monument, Colorado yesterday. Tonight, investigators believe this was a murder-suicide. It happened yesterday, just after noon. The El Paso County Sheriff's Office says a man shot into a car in the parking lot, killing a woman, then drove away. Detectives later found that car about 15 miles away after a reported suicide. The Sheriff's Office says they believe the man and the woman knew each other, and it's still under investigation. Tonight, the music industry is mourning the loss of Grammy-nominated rhythm and blues artist Angie Stone. Her publicist announced the singer died in a crash in Montgomery, Alabama this morning. Stone had just wrapped up a concert last night. She was heading to Georgia when that crash happened. Highway Patrol told the Associated Press she was in a Sprinter van with several other people when that van was hit by a truck driver. Tonight, no update on the other people's conditions. As for Stone, her career spanned decades, best known for hits like No More Rain and Wish I Didn't Miss You. Stone was 63 years old. It's a scary moment caught on camera in New Jersey today. A FedEx cargo plane caught fire shortly after taking off from Newark's airport. Video from the ground shows flames shooting out of the right engine of that plane. Both company and airport officials say it was a bird strike. It happened right after takeoff. The pilot declared an emergency, turned around, and made a safe emergency landing back at Newark, where the airport's fire trucks surrounded the plane. Good news, nobody got hurt. Today, though, marked 1 month since the deadliest U.S. aviation disaster in decades, when 67 people were killed when a military helicopter collided with an American Airlines jet over the Potomac River in D.C. That flight, you'll remember, was carrying members of the U.S. figure skating community, some kids who had just returned from a national championship in Kansas. Tonight, we're hearing from the first responders, some of the first people on scene that night.
You know, having some years of experience and seeing a lot of things, you know, that night, it's some of the worst things imaginable. It was one of those situations where it didn't seem to stop. It just, because of the sheer volume, the number of people, the area, the debris field.
Authorities are still investigating exactly what led up to that crash. At this point, NTSB believes the helicopter's pilots may not have heard air traffic controllers trying to give them instructions or warnings before the collision. NTSB says it will likely take more than a year to get a final report on that crash.